Good morning, beautiful souls. Happy Friday. Tim Wild, Friday Ascension update, and I'm back in my favourite spot this morning. It's a little bit on the damp and windy side, so I'm hiding under my favourite tree. And welcome to Lionsgate season. How are you finding the energies? I'm hearing a lot of reports of an upping of intensity as predicted, and I want to talk about a very specific message that I received on Tuesday. It's actually on the day that Mia Kafkios and I were running the opening of the Lionsgate event. Now there's several schools of thought that basically one side thinks that the Lionsgate is simply the 8th of the 8th, just for that period of time, just for that day, when Sirius and our planet and the galactic core all line up with each other, opening the most incredible portal of light. And of course Orion's belt aligns with the Great Pyramids at Giza, and all the fun begins. But I've always perceived it, as I've said previously, to be a longer period, a little bit like, so you get with a retrograde, you get the pre-shadow, then you get the post-shadow, and most of you will know how retrogrades go, especially Mercury ones. So yeah, we are winding up now for the 8th of the 8th, and the light started a good week ago, the incoming light. Now, every year there is a significant change during this period of time. I actually listed all of the years since the cosmic moment in 2012 during the workshop with Mia, and I'll just kind of run through them again a little bit from what I can remember off the top of my head. Now in 2013, in August 2013, around the time of the Lionsgate, I was given the green light to basically release my Blue Star Seal meditation after having kept it to myself since 2008. Now, the response was that the collective frequency had suddenly jumped on our planet, so that the Atlantean wisdom and knowledge could finally start filtering back into our reality, which indicated to me a huge jump in collective vibration, the beginning of what we're experiencing now. Lionsgate 2014, between the solstice and August, I very clearly saw the 12 chakra blueprint download into the whole of humanity. Obviously then the choice is whether an individual actually accesses and uses that blueprint, but it became available, so it was massive, huge thing. 2015 was the return of the law of one. Between August and the blood moon in September, again the frequency rose exponentially, and an incredible quantity of light came in, but also a signing of some very important contracts in the higher realms about how we dedicate our lives to physical existence. And it was very much along the lines of grace, intention, manifestation, karma, responsibility, unconditional love. Put those all together and you've got the law of one. Okay, so 2016 was a mass awakening. It was what I think probably the third segment of our soul groups waking up and taking responsibility. 2017 I missed because I had a considerable amount of personal stuff going on at that particular time. 2018 was the global activation of the heart centres, fifth dimensional heart centres, throughout the whole of humanity, which on one side, you know, I've had a real problem putting that information out, because I thought, how can I explain to people who listen to me that everybody's had their heart centre triggered on planet Earth when everybody's acting in a manner which would indicate completely the opposite? Well, as you've probably gathered by now, when you activate and trigger the 5D heart centre so that the heart begins to take over, that immediately creates the dark night of the soul, that term where the ego rises with every single form of defense that it can muster to prevent the heart from taking over, to defend its territory. And we're still there now. You know, this kind of rolling, collective, almost repetitive dark night where different patches and different phases of people go through it. And that was truly awesome, being given that piece of information. And Archangel Metatron was very specific about it. 2019 was the beginning, or the activation, of the storm layer. Okay, so for those of you that aren't familiar with the term, the storm layer, or this kind of 4D cleansing sort of layer, was placed around planet Earth, almost between the floor and the clouds above, to draw all of the lower frequencies into the storm layer. And it moves very, very quickly, like a cyclone, like a cyclonic motion, or a tornado. So all of the energies that were released from the Lionsgate 2019 onwards were drawn into the storm layer to be alchemized. And it's from this Lionsgate onwards that it very, very slowly begins to down tune itself, but that's another story altogether. Last year we saw the removal of the fifth veil around the third eye, which creates clarity of sight. Now again, it begs the question, how can we possibly attribute what's going on in the world around us to people seeing clearly? But billions of people have started to see through what is going on, the 3D charade, in the past 12 months. Our ranks have grown so vastly, and more people are waking up, or seeing, or choosing to see, every single day. So that brings us up to the current moment, today. We're approaching the Lionsgate, the 8th of the 8th. What has been brought to the table? So some of this is speculative, because obviously by the end of the Lionsgate, on the other side of the 8th, we'll know a lot more about what's actually occurring. But the first thing that was given to me, sorry, clear my throat, was some very distinctive and powerful information handed over by Archangel Gabriel. So on the day of the workshop with Mia, I got a short but very distinctive message in the morning. Archangel Gabriel said something along these lines. He said, we are bringing down the hammer. Okay, we are bringing down the hammer. And the laws of, or the rules of spiritual engagement have been broken by the 3D hierarchy. And this must be corrected. So that is, in one side of the coin, a joyful thing to hear, because it supports what we are working with incredibly. But on the other side, I'm sure you're wondering, like I am, in what context does this hammer come down? Because it's quite a biblical statement, and it was backed up with some fairly biblical signs to verify that the message had this was the message that I was receiving. But of course, in the kind of the angelic term, Archangel Gabriel says, well, if you're on the right side of your own heart, if you're standing in your own sovereignty and your vibration, you have nothing to worry about. These circumstances, or these cooking pots, are created for those who are deliberately acting out of alignment with the rules and the regulations by which we live a physical life on a planet, and how we treat each other, how we treat the planet, how we treat the gift of physical life. So he's very distinct about this, and this energy is going to be rolled out, or is being rolled out currently as we are experiencing it. So light is being deluged down from the galactic core, and this is what we're receiving now. A lot of you will be feeling this. I mean, I speak a little bit every week about how intense the energies are, and it feels a little bit like energy Groundhog Day, where I'm kind of repeating intensity, downloads, light, you know, it's almost like at some point we've just got to kind of get on with it. We've got to integrate this stuff and we've got to get on with it. We know what we've got to do here. We've got to get on with our job, and every single day that we're on this planet, the frequency rises. I made my peace with this, I'd probably say 4 or 5 years ago, where every single day I'd wake up and I felt like I was being pushed way too hard. And so the message came through, well, stop trying to integrate more, stop trying to surge forwards all the time. That you don't need to do that anymore. You're being carried by a wave of light that is nourishing you and integrating you, but at the same time it's bringing your shadows to the surface. So that's where we are at the moment. We're literally, it is cascading down, and as it does so, it reveals more shadows. It's almost, if you imagine the sun directly above you, just absolutely blasting down, there's nowhere left for a shadow to exist. It's all being revealed. That's where we are at the moment. So if it was invisible previously, it is now being shown the light. Now, there's two very distinctive schools of thought about how us light workers should be functioning at the moment. I've heard some people saying, well, if you're not speaking out about the corruption on this planet and the shadows and the things that do lurk in the depths of 3D that we've probably been ignoring for a long time, then you're bypassing the situation. But again, one thing I've never advised anybody to do is ignore shadows. And so we acknowledge this. I've always gone on the assumption that I will educate myself about something, and then I choose whether I'm going to engage with that as my reality or not. So that, I believe, is where the choices of what energy and what circumstances or what blueprints or goal prints we choose to engage with become very prevalent. So you will see these shadows everywhere around you. You will see them, you will feel them. They might even be part of your existence at the moment, or something that you are personally experiencing. Acknowledge them, okay? Work with them. If you've got to do the shadow work, then do the shadow work, because the shadow work is as much a part of our light process, our ascension process, as drawing in the light from the heavens, working with the unicorns, working with the archangels. The more of this stuff that you bring into your bodies and your fields, the more will be revealed, the more you will experience, and probably come to the conclusion now that the spiritual pathway isn't quite as easygoing as some of us thought it might be. But I found that one out years and years ago, but some people it's a bit of a shock. So these shadows are very useful at the moment, because as the truth is revealed, as they are shown the light of the cosmos, the light of day, there is the majority of that information is a wake-up mechanism. It's not a particularly pleasant wake-up mechanism, but it is effective nonetheless. So it's a little bit like when I was describing about what happened in the Lion's Gate last year, when the fifth veil was removed from the third eye. A lot of the time the third eye will continue to see, or the mind will continue to see, at the previous frequency, because it's seen that way for so long. So even though it's being shown things very directly, it's still not registering. I mean, the opposite end of the scale for this is cognitive dissonance, where it's being not deliberately ignored, but ignored to the level where, okay, you've got to be seeing this now. You can't ignore it anymore. Why are you ignoring it? Which is the trigger for a lot of frustrations amongst our teams at the moment, with us lot working here on Earth. We're kind of getting righteously very frustrated with waiting for people to see, but it is simply a matter of time. Okay, if you think, I've mentioned this previously, but if you think how long the human mind has been programmed to see a certain way, set at a certain frequency, fed the same information, the same repetitive programs on a daily basis for such a long time. It is literally a miracle in action when the mind actually accepts the information at the higher levels. So again, patience. People will see, and sometimes they will see because you are presenting that information to them. Other times they will see simply because it's their soul contract to wake up and see at that time. It really is as simple as that. It will happen when it is designated to happen. And but keep on doing what you are guided to do. Most importantly, whatever your heart is guiding you to engage with, whatever you believe is the most useful way for you to do your job here on this planet at the moment, then do it. Okay, don't wait for somebody to verify that for you. Don't wait for somebody to give you your instructions, someone around you. You act upon your own guidance. Okay, so whatever is prompting you, whatever subject is pulling you towards it at the moment, it might be a process of discernment. You might be called to dip your toes into several different pools of energy just to see which one. It's a bit like Goldilocks trying her porridge, you know. One's too hot, one's too cold. Ooh, one's just right. I think I'll have that. So it could be a little bit like that at the moment. So like where you're feeling your way through the different kind of subjects or the fields of energy and matter that is being presented to you. But back to Archangel Gabriel and his biblical message, bringing down the hammer. The rules of 3D engagement have been broken now. Okay, so let's have a little look at that. Let's see what Archangel Gabriel actually means. We are steering an ascension process, okay? You, me, all of the rest of us around the planet who have acknowledged ourselves as sovereign beings, as masters in physical. You know, we're getting there. You know, you might one day feel like you did in Atlantis or ancient Egypt on your golden throne with your beautiful flowing robes and your scepter of power in your hands. The other day you might just feel like you just want to hide under the sheets. It's very ping pong like that at the moment. It's 3D, 5D, 3D, 5D, and it all depends on what you're personally experiencing. So here we are, this unified team of light on the planet. We're actually working in a very coordinated manner at the moment, but due to all of the distractions, it might not feel like that, but trust me, we are. Okay, the way that we're kind of organised and the way that we're guided to works in a very clockwise fashion so that we get the job done most effectively. So here we are, we're speeding this planetary process up. We are way ahead of light schedule according to the information that I received from the Intergalactic Council. But our forward movement has also prompted quite a startlingly rapid response from the 3D matrix. And many of you you'll be having your survival buttons pressed at the moment by the information that's coming out through the media, by the words that are being spoken by the politicians, when we're talking about, you know, freedoms being quite seriously curtailed by the introduction of freedom passports and all of the other things. I am going to talk a little bit about it, but obviously I won't mention the V word. What I'll do is I'll refer to it. I don't think I'm even going to call it the medical intervention anymore. I'm just going to simply call it the contract, okay? The contract that everyone is talking about, that apparently that it's going to be, you know, having it will decide how you interact with society. This to me is part of the show, okay? It's all part of the show. It's something that is designed very much to trigger the survival instincts within us. You know, it's crunchy time now. We knew it was coming, but now it's here. It's actually happened a lot faster than we anticipated, and there's a good reason for that. It's because the quantity of ground that we have covered and the velocity of the global wake-up has now thrown the 3D matrix, because people are unplugging from it rapidly. Okay, now when you unplug your consciousness from a pool of energy or a space, that space begins to reduce in power, and at the moment it's a little bit like people are checking out every 30 seconds. It's like, no, that's not for me. Unplug, gone. No, I'm not having that anymore. No, thank you. I'm moving up. I'm ascending. Bye. Unplug. More power gone, and it's happening so rapidly now that I suppose, you know, I've used the terminology before. We've drawn them out of their caves, and now the noise, the objections are becoming very loud. And during this period of objecting very loudly and attempting to maintain the 3D control systems on our world, at some point, these beloved souls that have been in charge for 10,000 years, and I'm going to call them beloved souls because they are actors who will eventually return back to sitting at the table with us, having done their jobs. At some point they've stepped over the line slightly, and obviously they've probably been doing this for quite a while, but when Archangel Gabriel says they have broken the rules of 3D engagement, that probably means that if you think about it, it doesn't matter what energy or what side you represent, there are still spiritual laws that you have to abide by here on earth. So at some point somebody's been very naughty and upset the higher realms. Well, not upset the higher realms, but just given them the green light to actually bring forth what is necessary to actualize this process properly. So bringing down the hammer, what could it be? So what I was immediately shown was a hammer of light coming down from the heavens and just making everything vibrate at a frequency that is much, much higher than it was previously. Now, this is probably why we're beginning to feel a little bit pushed, a little bit uncomfortable, because instead of making small kind of like steady integrations like we've been used to doing, all of a sudden we're taking huge leaps. So we're bringing all of this light into our systems. There's a lot of reports of people out there being physically unwell at the moment, and by my experience, the physical body will immediately eject things that don't resonate with it if it takes in a lot of light. Okay, so this goes down, this covers everything right down to flu or whatever's circulating at the time. Most of the time, because we've got the vitamin D, we've got the sunshine, we've got the access to the fresh air, and we generally just tend to treat ourselves a little bit better when the sun is out and it's summertime. We don't tend to get quite so poorly, but there's a lot of people reporting, and these are people that aren't choosing to engage with the you know what, are reporting themselves not feeling well or feeling very tired, or their bodies are responding in a certain way. I'm pretty convinced from what I've been shown that is due to the quantity of light that is coming in. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual fields are straining to keep up with this uptick in vibration. So everything's getting fast, it's being kicked out a lot quicker. And the only way that the physical body can often do this is by purging. Okay, again, bringing down the hammer of light, the purging. If Archangel Gabriel's involved, it's purification. So we're being voluntarily purified for the next phase, because the next phase is a lot higher in vibration than the previous one. Now, I always speak about the circumstances that we're experiencing with a great deal of confidence, it has been noted that I've not once at any point or any phase during this more recent side of the operation had my cage rattled in any way, shape or form. Sure, at the beginning in February 2020, when all of this first caught us by surprise, yes, it did rattle my cage slightly, because I have a family, I have children, and immediately something was flashing my lights very brightly. But immediately I broke the energy down, I saw what was happening, and I realised that this was in alignment with the higher plan. Everything started to smooth out. Now, we live in a very different dimensional space energetically to the one that we did previously. The kind of nefarious plans that are pressing everybody's buttons and worrying everybody at the moment, these were drawn up and created hundreds of years ago. These plans have been in motion for a long time by the same set of players that have been ruling the show since the fall of Atlantis. What they didn't take into consideration is that when they decided to actualize these plans, the vibration on Earth would have risen to the point where the frequency of what they're trying to create no longer works. So it's a little bit like trying to sign a physical contract, like say you're renting a house, or you're starting a new job, or you're making a financial decision, but you're doing it when all of the planets are in retrograde. Nothing works. The contract doesn't send, the emails go to the wrong people, or your computer doesn't turn on, or your car won't start, or all of these things. This is a little bit, in fact, is exactly what's going on in the reality. You will see all of these things being spoken about. The politicians, the talking heads on the news, they'll attempt to make this part of your reality. They'll attempt to make you contract with it out of fear. But in actual fact, it is simply like trying to create something in the middle of the most intensive retrograde. They don't have the energetic support to roll things out as they wish in our dimensional space. And this is why I speak with such confidence about it, because I know how energy works. I know what the plan is. I know what the gold print for the future is. Sure, if you want to continue learning at the 3D level, which some people will do, come to the other end of this process, then go and do it. But for the majority of us, and I do mean the majority, we are choosing to step out of that matrix and co-create together at a much higher level. So what is going to happen now, and I think probably this will be the overwhelming kind of theme of the Lionsgate, is the unity that we are going to be co-creating between one another. Teams of light. Two very distinctive light camps still in operation at the moment, which are, it's been causing a little bit of friction from the start. The truther light camps that think that we should be shouting from the rooftops and revealing the kind of like the inconsistencies and the appalling behaviour on the side of the planet. Yeah, brilliant. That we need that. We need the people speaking loudly, revealing the truths and the untruths. But we also very much need a powerful section of light workers to hold this dimensional space ready to move into, and also to be building on it. So each camp needs each other as much as the other one, but of course it's causing conflict. One side saying, oh, you shouldn't be talking about that, it's lowering the vibration, and the other side saying, well, you should be talking more about it. Let's just work in harmony. Okay, you know what I mean? There's been enough conflict on this planet now for the last 10,000 years to last us, you know, once I'm done sort of thing. We've got a lot of work to do here. We've got a lot of work to do. So we're probably kind of, you know, could save ourselves a lot of time and aggravation by not squabbling amongst ourselves while we're doing it. But no, I'm not kind of like bringing this up as an absolute thing, because we all know what we've got to be here, we've got to be doing here, but focus on what we are guided to do, particularly over the next 2 weeks. Your personal guidance will be very strong at the moment. It will be exceptionally powerful. What you are being driven to do, what you are being guided to do, what your heart is calling you to do, will be shouting much louder than anything else. It'll be much louder than the news coming in. It'll be much louder than the fear of your neighbours. Just allow yourself to exist within that and move forwards with whatever it is that is set out on our particular individual and collective plan and pathway. So yeah, we have got Archangel Gabriel and his incredible team of light bringing this in, or bringing down the hammer of light. And it's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff. So in the hammer of light will reveal everything that needs to be revealed. It will also be very effective in revealing the inconsistencies of this hurried 3D plan to those that might have been unsure about where they stood on this subject previously. So let's welcome it. And I will be back on Monday with one of my best friends, Anubis, from my previous incarnations, and we will be presenting together and working with the Legions of Anubis on Monday night. So that's 7 p.m. UK time, and the workshop details will be on my website and also underneath this video. And on the 8th of the 8th, David Esri and I have a beautiful workshop planned for the actual Lionsgate. So again, the details will be available underneath this video. Sending you all loads of love. Hope you have a beautiful weekend, and I'll see you Monday morning. Bye for now.